All right, folks, caution to the airwaves. We are back, coming off a big weekend, going into an even bigger weekend. UFC 294 this Saturday, Abu Dhabi. So much big news going into this one as far as that card is concerned. Obviously, we've heard, I was excited to hear that Volkanovski is filling in for Charles Oliveira to take on Islam Makhachev in the rematch. Heavily anticipated rematch. Charles Oliveira caught a really bad cut to his eye during the 5th round of sparring, which is the last round, in a main event UFC fight, and caught a big cut in that final round and is not able to make it or able to fight because of this cut. So they reach out to Alex Volkanovski, the savage that he is, and takes the fight on 11 days' notice against one of the scariest mixed martial artists in the world, Islam Makhachev. And in their first fight, we all know how that went down. Volkanovski gave an amazing showing of himself. Most people, including myself, think he did enough to deserve the win. It did not go his way. Islam Makhachev came out with it. And now here we are for the rematch going into Abu Dhabi. And just to roll off that, and we're going to get into this card at the end of this, preview this, the whole card, and we'll look at some of the prelim, whatever's going on. We'll check it out because there's many amazing fights on that card. But the other big news was Paulo Costa was supposed to fight KHAMZAT CHIMAEV. Heavily anticipated return of KHAMZAT. And Paulo Costa, always entertaining fighter as well. Middleweight, KHAMZAT going up to middleweight. And then Paulo Costa decides to get... Oh my God, I thought someone was here or something. That sounded crazy. My dogs love to just act so crazy when I start this podcast. It's insane. If you know about the French Bulldog breed, they don't have a normal bark. They just howl like demons, pretty much. It's a very demonic sound, very fitting for this October month, spooky season. But hopefully I'm not going to have to leave the podcast again to tend to my dog like last week. But yeah, so Paulo Costa decides to get elbow surgery. Now, he's thinking he could still make the fight. No, not happening. Falls off the card. Who replaces him? KAMARU Usman, the former welterweight champion of the world, one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the UFC, formerly number one, and he's going to move up to middleweight to fight KHAMZAT, where KHAMZAT was originally a welterweight as well. So this is a very interesting matchup there between those two. The main event and the co-main event is just amazing. If anything, both guys fell off this card 11 days before the fight, and now the two replacements have now made this card better, like significantly better. I don't want to say that so much for Charles, because Charles is everyone loves Charles Oliveira, very exciting fighter, and that was also an anticipated rematch with Islam. But obviously, if you're going to get a replacement, Volkanovski is the best option. So very exciting stuff there. And yeah, so we'll get into that card in a little bit, but also I guess I just want to start off just to get it out of the way. And I say it that way with a purpose. The whole Prime card, Logan Paul taking on Dillon Danis, and also KSI took on Tommy Fury in the main event. Yeah, so I guess, where do we start with this? I guess we'll start with the Logan Paul, Dillon Danis. A lot of drama leading into this one. Dillon Danis, full troll mode, just posting Logan Paul's girlfriend all leading up to it, saying all sorts of horrible stuff, just posting pictures of her with, like, these pictures that are public, but of her with all these different celebrities, insinuating that she's had sex with all these dudes. A bunch of famous people, Leonardo DiCaprio being one of them, which is kind of a flex, in a way. But yeah, so needless to say, a lot of drama going into this one. Lawsuits in place because of all this drama. And Dillon Danis, former and still, I guess, actively a training partner of Conor McGregor in his camp. Dillon Danis, a jiu-jitsu specialist. And sorry, the dog. Just do me a favor. Can you just close the door? Yeah. Even though I don't think that'll do anything. We might have to do a please stand by again. All right. You know what? Stand by. We'll just have to have All right, and we're back. Yeah, so where was I? Talking about this Dillon Danis Logan Paul fight. So yeah, a lot of drama build up, lawsuits, yada yada yada. Was at a little family event last night and was watching the fight on my phone, and I was very interested to see what it was going to look like visually from both parties, Dillon and Logan Paul. Dillon Danis, like I just said, is a jiu-jitsu guy. No striking background whatsoever. Has one fight in the Bellator organization, and it was not impressive at all striking-wise. It was actually very embarrassing. He was getting pieced up, did nothing on the striking, and then finished it via jiu-jitsu. But, and then Logan Paul, obviously not a boxer, no background of fighting other than him training and fighting random, fighters along the way. KSI being one of them. I think they even did a rematch. And also Floyd Mayweather, which, is almost such a gas up. Now looking back at it, you're like, oh, I never looked at it like, oh, he went the distance with Floyd Mayweather. Amazing. No, Floyd totally just grabbed the bag, and you could tell there was rules in place during that fight. It was very much, I think that was a public knowledge too, that he can't be knocked out. You can't knock each other out. It's an expedition. And yeah, I think there was also more things in there. Like at some point, Floyd had to let him kind of throw some stuff to look competitive. I mean, it was embarrassing. That fight was shit. This fight was also shit. I mean, other than the drama leading into it to promote the fight, that was the most exciting thing about this whole thing, because that fight was just shit. Bad technique on both parts. The only positive thing I could really say was Dillon Danis's high guard defensively seemed to work and preserve him to stay in the fight. But other than that, he threw essentially nothing meaningful. And Logan at some points would just let loose and throw a bunch, but it just looked so sloppy and shitty and powerful, but just no technique. Just really sloppy and disgusting. Then he gets on the mic after and he's acting all over dramatic, saying, and then getting real cringy, talking about, his wife or his fiance. It's the most important. And it's funny because he actually had to catch himself. He had a moment he was just like, I just want to shout out the most important woman in my life, as his mom is standing right next to him. He's like, aside from my mom, of course, But it's like he had to catch himself from saying it. It's just so cringe. And then just like, all right, we get it. Like, whatever. And it's like, you're acting like you just like a Rocky. Like it's a Rocky film in the end. And you're just like crying, yelling into the mic. Like you just fought Dillon Danis, a nobody. Especially in boxing, and like I would have loved to have rather seen Mike Perry step in and have that fight. So I mean, I'll just leave that there. Not entertaining as far as I'm concerned, as far as the fight goes. Entertaining enough to make me want to tune in to see, but disappointing. And I think I'm done with these kind of fights, because then the KSI Tommy Fury fight happens. Tommy Fury, brother of Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury, and it has an amateur and a small professional boxing record, and then fought, who did he fight? Oh, Jake Paul in a close fight last time, close decision win that Tommy Fury pulled off, and now he's fighting KSI, another YouTuber that's boxed here and there, and again, you would think the skills would be a little bit better in this one. It really wasn't that much better. Not impressed with Tommy Fury whatsoever. The fact that you can't take out KSI or Jake Paul, and you're like this, you come from this boxing family, you're a professional boxer, and then these guys are just YouTubers that are training hard, granted, seem to be on PEDs, which could also be granted, and obviously have the funds to give themselves some high level training camps to prepare. But other than that, I mean, again, just not impressive fight to watch. Very sloppy. no, I did not buy this thing. I was streaming it on my phone, and it's just like I would never buy these fights ever. I mean, it would have to be like Tyson Fury fighting Francis Ngannou is the closest you're gonna get me to buying a fight that seems very one-sided, or whatever you want to call it, like just like a what do you call it? A circus, like a circus card. Yeah, would have rather have seen Mike. If Mike Perry was in there, I would have been very interested to watch that. Mike Perry is must-see TV. Former mixed, sort of former mixed martial artist, still a mixed martial artist, but former UFC fighter, and yeah, we're all familiar with Mike Perry. So that's all I have to say about the Prime card. So I could say I covered that. Yeah, and just to, I guess, before we get into the UFC 294 Abu Dhabi, just do a brief summary of last night's UFC card, fight night in Vegas at the Apex, Vegas 81, whatever they want to call it. This one was headlined by Sodiq Yusuff and Edson Barbosa. Very fun matchup going into it. Decent fight, solid fight. Really bothered me after when Michael Bisping is on the mic and he's doing the interviews, and he's like, legendary fight. It's just really selling it up. Like, I gotta say, I love Michael Bisping, big fan. Read his book. Lifelong fan ever since he was in the UFC. But I got to call him out here and say you were definitely overselling that fight at the end of it. I feel like the fight started off very well. I thought both guys were really going for it in the beginning, and then towards the middle to the end, the energy fell off between the two fighters. I thought it was very tit for tat, and ultimately I thought Edson actually ended up holding his cardio. So Sadiq had him in trouble very early on in the first round, was able to capitalize and bring that into the second round and probably win the first two rounds. And then from that point on, it seemed like Sadiq just really let it go too early, and then ultimately sort of gassed out more than Barbosa. Barbosa sort of recovered enough to land enough to ultimately win the last three rounds, which got him the decision win. So yeah, it was like one of those situations. I think both guys kind of just got beat up too quick early on, and then just never recovered fully enough to keep that intensity into the later rounds. But ultimately, great win for Edson Barbosa. He himself is a legend of the sport. And very cool to see Edson land his signature spinning heel kick. That landed and wobbled Sadiq and ultimately dropped him, which is like he has just done this over and over and over. And it's like, I got to give him credit there. Very cool that he could just land that so often and do this to so many different opponents. These are like the spinning heel kick. It's like a movie-like kick, just a classic spin back, land with the back of the foot. And he just throws it so fast and in control that he's not just throwing it like as a random Hail Mary. It's thrown very precise and accurate. So got to give him a lot of credit there. I mean, that kick is something special. The most, I feel like, he's knocked opponents out cold with it. The one knockout with that was one of the best highlights the UFC has ever had. And then also the one with Kevin Lee putting him on the giving him the chicken legs was also an iconic moment. I mean, he's landed that over and over. He's landed on Khabib, but didn't really do nothing to him. But yeah, so shout out Edson Barbosa. Brilliant win. Way to fight through and get it done. Yeah, looking good at featherweight. Still has some gas in the tank, and seems like he's not going anywhere soon. So we'll be seeing more of him. Sadiq will be back in his own right, as he said in his post-fight interview. Scrolling down to the Jennifer Maia Vivian Araujo fight. I watched this one. Was kind of surprised. Thought Jennifer Maia was going to be able to do more with the grappling. Ultimately, Vivian, I thought was the faster fighter, which I probably miscalculated going into it, was the speed advantage that she would have that seemed to have served her in order for her to get her decision win. So good on her for that part. And keep scrolling down. Again, nothing really. This is the one that I was talking about going in that I was most excited about. And my boy delivered. Jonathan Martinez and Adrian Yanez. Jonathan Martinez had some vicious leg kicks in this one. one of the few times we've seen TKO to leg kicks, where ultimately he just kicked him enough times in the leg that the dude just couldn't even stand anymore, and he was just grabbing for his knee in pain because he just hit it the same spot over and over. Looked like he might have even torn something because there was like a bubble or like just a real bad swelling in the knee area of Yanez. Jonathan Martinez is a motherfucker. I love this guy's style. I just love his energy, his intensity in the octagon. He's always dialed in, and he's very smart. He's very calculated, and he's accurate, very accurate. And I feel the way I just said that felt very Donald Trump. He's accurate, very accurate. Might say the most accurate. I've never seen anyone more accurate. Jonathan Martinez, very good, very good. Good job. Bravo. I mean, yeah, I don't do impressions, but just the way I said it, accurate, very accurate, just made me think right of him. So yeah, just big shout out Jonathan Martinez. This was the fight I was most excited about. Loved the matchup. Actually, very surprised about the matchup considering the UFC. As I feel like they are very high in Adrian Yanez. Yanez is a huge, like a big fandom behind him. Like fans love Adrian Yanez. Fans not as familiar. I think the diehards are obviously familiar with Jonathan Martinez, but not to the extent of Yanez. So I was very surprised with this matchup. I might have went a different direction. I'm happy it happened, but I might have went a different direction to preserve Adrian Yanez, especially coming off a KO loss to Rob Font. I would have rathered Adrian Yanez kind of get a nice little warm up fight. To build his confidence back, and so I just thought it was a weird matchup, considering that what I'm saying about the whole that's not an easy test coming off a knockout to fight Jonathan Martinez. So, I'm not overselling this guy either. Like every fight I've ever watched this guy in, he seems like the real deal. There's no reason to think that he can't be a world champion one day. So, and I look forward to that. I mean, I look forward to future matchups that they make with him, because I think now he needs to start getting some top 10 opponents to see where he's really at. So, very excited for this man's future. Adrian Yanez, I have no problem saying that he will be back and he will be great as well. Just sucks that 2 L's in a row. I'm sure it's not going to do great things for his mental, but I have faith that he'll get over it and he'll be back and he'll be stronger than ever as well. So, scroll down. This one was pretty cool. The Michel Pereira. I know I said in the picks he was supposed to fight someone else. They didn't update the website. He ended up Andre Petrosky from Philly, the Philly camp. The Philly boys stepped in for the Canadian, I believe it was, and took on Michel Pereira, however you want to say it. And Michel Pereira just landed one clean shot in the first round that really just put Petrosky on his ass, and just followed up with some shots and got a very easy TKO in and out of there. Just, I mean, what is this, 1 minute into the first round, or I don't know. Sometimes, I think that's like 1 minute into the first round. So it happened very fast. So shout out Michel Pereira. Would have liked to have seen more out of that fight, because he's such a fun, entertaining guy. A one-hit knockout really isn't his forte. He's usually way more entertaining and creative with his striking. So Petrosky, wrestler. So I thought there might have been a chance Petrosky would have shot earlier and got him down and tried to wear on him that way. So I thought Petrosky came in a little nervous in that one. Did not perform the way he normally does. I think the glow around Michel Pereira might have got to him, made him second guess himself a little bit. But yeah. And then scroll down. I want to shout out my guy Darren Elkins. Yes, Darren Elkins. Huge fan of Darren. The Damage. Love this guy. Has the tattoo, The Damage, on his chest. This is like he gives me the old school UFC vibes, like the Chuck Liddell days, Chris Lieben vibes. He gives me those vibes. Just that old school mentality. Can take a beating, does not deter him at all. Always presses the gas forward. Great wrestler. Great very I don't want to say like great striking, because like, you know, you want to be like realistic. Solid striker, and does seem to be getting better with striking, but ultimately it's his wrestling and his pace that is really his forte. And he took on TJ Brown in this one, which TJ Brown, young up and comer, solid opponent, so impressive win nonetheless. But Darren Elkins just got it done in Darren Elkins' way. Of course, like goes into the third round, little bit of blood from the fight, little back and round, some great grappling exchanges. On top, 1 minute he's on top, and then TJ Brown reverses it, and he's on top. A little ground and pound back and forth. The damage taking on some damage, and then their third round, I think Darren Elkins' pace just weared on him, and he was able to find the back and get a rear naked choke for the submission win. And huge shout out to Darren Elkins, because I mean, me, my brother, huge fans of this guy. We just love this dude. I mean, his mentality. I can't say enough great things about Darren Elkins. Solid dude. I think one time I even like sang his praises on a post on Instagram one time, and he writes back and says thank you. And it's like, you know, that's just the kind of guy he is. He's just a humble, real dude that is a solid mixed martial artist, and the UFC is lucky to have someone like him. And he's talking about wanting to get in there early next year, possibly even for the UFC 300 card in the prelims. Why not? Why not? Everyone loves him. So just big shout out to Darren Elkins. Scroll down. Keep going. I got to say, like I said, I had a family event. Did not get to watch the Terrence McKinney fight. So can't really say much about it. I could tell you that he won by first round KO. It looks like in 20 seconds. Or so, that could also be the last 20 seconds of the round, but I'm pretty sure that's 20 seconds. Oh, we got a special guest. Come here, Yan. Come here. You see? That's how you get on the podcast. You don't yell from downstairs and interrupt me and make me have to stop and lose my train of thought. You politely come to my feet. You give me a little nuzzle with your nose, and I'll lift you up, and you'll get some airtime. So, Bronson, take some notes. What do you got to say about that? What do you got to say? You hear it? Oh, oh, my God. I love this dog so much. Bronson's on my shit list today, but I do love him as well. Yeah, so I did not get to see the Terrence McKinney fight. Have just a busy day yesterday, all day affair. This morning was no different. I would have liked to have watched this before. Yeah, go scroll down real quick. I just want to see. Yeah, it looks like. Yeah, what's that say? It says 14-1. Yeah, I'm assuming Terrence McKinney just came out and probably blitzed them. Scroll up. What's it? It just it just says KO TKO. So yeah, I'm sure he just landed something, put him down, and followed up with some shots, because it's 14 strikes to 1. That's what the stat said. So, but I am gonna want to watch that after this. So scroll down. Chris Gutierrez pulled out a win over a hard opponent, and Altengali, which is no last name. It's just Altengali. Who is a prospect? So that's why I'm saying this is an impressive win. That well, I don't know. I was gonna say the Chinaman. Is that not like, that's not acceptable, right? No, I mean, but it's so funny. It's like, that's like another one of those things that like I'll stand behind and say like I'm calling him the Chinaman. He's a man from China. Like, I get it that like people used to like probably say it with a negative connotation, but it's just funny that you put two words together and it's like, you know, that was past racism. Today's day and world, if I call him like the Chinaman, yeah, I guess it just doesn't sound good anymore. Yeah, it's been too ruined by past racism. But so the man from China was a prospect and a talented fighter. So Chris Gutierrez to get back in the win column with this was impressive. Although again, I gotta admit I did not see it. But it looks like oh wait, oh yeah, okay, never mind. It was a decision, so I'd be interested to go back and watch that. All right, let's jump into UFC 294. Because this is where all the exciting stuff lies here. Like I said, Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski. Just to give my my preview of this fight, going into it as we stand here on Sunday, I'm very interested to hear the media and the interviews that Alexander Volkanovski will do. I'm interested to hear Islam's interviews and stuff. I got to say, I like Volkanovski's chances going into this. Now, when I first heard the news, I thought that Volkanovski, it annoyed me because he had to take this fight on 11 days notice. And you're like, fuck, he did so good in the first fight, maybe even won. You want him to have a full camp and like a full chance to prepare and like do all the things and also capitalize on all the good things he did in the first fight and training and get better at that and give him enough time to practice for Islam so he could come into this with all his sharpened tools to get it done the right way. And so I was thinking at first, all right, short notice is not good. It'll just be another way for Islam will pull off another win against a short notice opponent, which he has like 3 times in the past. No knock against him. It's not his fault. Just some opponents drop out last minute and people fill in. And I mean, it takes. It's not easy to step in on short notice, weeks notice, and fight Islam Makhachev, who's Khabib's prodigy. So, but the more I think about it, the more I realize that Volkanovski, one, we all know he's always ready. He's always training. Whether he's training for someone specific or not, he's always training. And I also think that the way the first fight went, I believe that that's got to feed his confidence that he did probably even better. I don't want to say that he did better than he thought he would do, but he did. I think he, if anything, fought probably more careful than he needed to fight because he wasn't sure at the level that Islam was going to give him in that fight. And I think when he realized that his cardio lasted longer and he ended up being able to reverse these grappling positions and get up as much as he did and also land well in the striking and hurt Islam, I think that that's going to feed his confidence going into this one. And I think he'll be able to be a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more willing to take chances in exchanges to ultimate, because sometimes that's all it's about. It's an energy thing. It's a confidence thing. It's what made Conor McGregor so great in the beginning was just the level of confidence that he was willing to go in there and let it go rather than kind of strategically feel out and see what happens and let's see what this person's got for me. No, sometimes it's a matter of just going in and saying, I'm just going to impose what I want to impose, and that's it. So I'm thinking that Volkanovski ultimately will come into this one with more confidence and allow him to impose himself a little bit more than he even did in the first fight. So my early prediction in this, Volkanovski, as the UFC website says, plus 270. It's probably different on the betting sites, but looking at that would make me want to go with Volkanovski big time. Yeah, I would not feel confident, like super confident betting on Islam in this one. Although I do think he's the rightful favorite, I think those odds are a little extreme. So if I was going to make a pick in a betting sense, I'm definitely going Volkanovski. And if I'm just going to make a pick in general, going early on it, I think I'm going Volkanovski. I'm a sucker for mentality, man. And I think that Islam looked broken at the end of that last fight. His team had to hold him up. And they did it strategically in a way to be like, you can't lay down and look like defeated. You have to be strong and stand here after the fight and look like a winner. And that sometimes, it's an optics thing for judges to be like, sometimes if a judge sees you at the end laying down on the floor, huffing and puffing, and you can't breathe, and the other guy's standing with his hands raised, you're going to be like, whoa, it seemed like he was winning, but it looks like he fucking lost. I mean, and it's kind of true in that way. There's a lot of truth behind that. But, yeah, so early prediction is Volk. That's my little breakdown going into it. I cannot wait. God willing, knock on wood, everything goes as planned, and everything goes as planned, and I get to talk about what happened in that fight next week. I very much look forward to that. Now, just to break down this co-main event, KAMARU USMAN, as I said, stepping in to fight KHAMZAT CHIMAEV on also 11 days' notice. in Abu Dhabi, up a weight class in the middleweight division, is very interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, I got to say, also interesting is how KHAMZAT is usually very active, and now he's like been off for basically a year or more, and he's going to come in and fight KAMARU Usman, who's a short, like I just said, short notice fill-in. He was preparing for Paulo Costa, very different opponents. And this seems like it's going to be one of those fights where both have a strong wrestling background, and because that they're both so maybe evenly matched in the wrestling, that it's going to ultimately end up in a standing battle, similar to the KHAMZAT and Gilbert Burns fight, similar to the KAMARU Usman and Gilbert Burns fight, similar to the KAMARU Usman and Colby Covington fight, where you just have two amazing grapplers. The way just YAMS just staring ever so just gently into my eyes, and it's just like, I know, baby, he is a thing of beauty. This dog, I swear to God, not the best breathing, but man, you are just a lush, beautiful creature. You are, man. I'm going to have to find someone to babysit these dogs when we do the podcast, because they are just distracting in every way possible, whether they want to be kind and cute and gentle, or they want to just scream at the top of their lungs and be a psychopath. But, yes, back on track with this fight. So, yeah, like I said, very interested to see if there's... I'm sure we're going to see some grappling exchanges. I'm sure one of them is going to at least attempt. And something tells me it's going to be more KHAMZAT that's going to really press the takedown issue. Or at least just maybe, I think he's going to probably come out guns blazing looking for a takedown, just to kind of see where, probably just to like know for himself where KAMARU Usman is at with his wrestling. Just kind of like throw that little tester out there. And then if KAMARU Usman stuffs it easily, or just stuffs it at all, I think it's going to turn into a striking battle, which we might see, KAMARU Usman's jab, very, very nice jab he's developed over the years. KHAMZAT has some pretty interesting combinations that he likes to throw. Very underrated striking from KHAMZAT as well. And also, both guys have a chin. KAMARU Usman did get famously knocked unconscious in the Leon fight, but obviously that was like a perfectly placed head kick to the jaw. So I mean, there's not many people that are just gonna like eat that and stay conscious. KHAMZAT, not really a kick thrower, but definitely has some hands and some combinations up top. So I love that matchup. That ultimately might end up being more. I'm not going to even say that. I think that and the co-main event are both just like equally as entertaining and interesting going into. Those two fights alone are going to sell a lot of pay-per-views, I believe. So I'll just leave that one there. I'll save my pick in that one for my picks. Yeah. But I think I'm just a little I think I'm leaning KHAMZAT though, especially the short notice for KAMARU. It's a little different. KHAMZAT had a lot of time off. So did Usman. And so both men just seem like they're probably well recovered and ready to go into this one. So, and then just to rattle off a few of these other fights going on, Magomed Ankalaev, Johnny Walker is the co-main, the third fight from the top. Fun matchup there. Top tier light heavyweights. And I love this one because I think that Johnny Walker is in a position where if he could pull off this win, that's giving him a strong case to be in title contention, honestly. And Magomed Ankalaev is number 2. So if he gets a win, it almost puts him right there for a title shot as well. And obviously, famously, that's going to probably be against the winner of, well, maybe not that fight right away, but the light heavyweight division, as we all know at this point, Madison Square Garden, Yuri Prochazka taking on Alex Pereira. So that division all of a sudden is very exciting, especially with the entrance of Alex Pereira. Now, if Alex Pereira wins that and becomes a light heavyweight champ, light heavyweight is a lot of fun. which that's right around the corner too. So I cannot wait to talk more about that fight as well. Scroll down. I just want to see a couple of these other fights we got here. Saeed Nurmagomedov making his return against Muin Ghafarov from Tajikistan. One of I think maybe one or two fighters in UFC from Tajikistan. Saeed Nurmagomedov, very well-rounded fighter, very familiar at this point, veteran now at this point. Scroll down. Let's see what else we got here. Tim Elliott stepping in to take on Muhammad Mokaev. Muhammad Mokaev, savage prospect on the rise. Tim Elliott, veteran of the sport, well-rounded, both top-tier grappling. Definitely going to see some very interesting grappling exchanges in that one. Definitely leaning Muhammad Mokaev on this one, though. I just think that from all the things we've seen in his few 3 to 4 performances in the UFC so far, there's no reason to ever doubt this man. I mean, he doesn't give up on himself. Even when he's been in really horrible positions, like in his last fight, he persevered and got a submission win. So cannot wait for that prelim. I think this scroll up real quick. I just want to, oh, never mind. You don't even have to. Yeah, it says 2 p.m. Eastern time, right? That's Eastern. At the very top, you see where it says, yeah, right? Yeah, that's Eastern. Yeah, so the prelims at 10. All right, so we got an early card here. Very interesting. I know that's usually like that, but sometimes they'll make it so it's still the same time. But all right, so we got an early pay-per-view. A lot of fun there. Love an early pay-per-view. Keep going. Oh, scroll back up a little bit for a second. Havid Basharat, brother of the Basharat brothers are just savages. I mean, well-rounded mixed martial artist. Not very familiar with Victor Henry. Got some luscious hair though. Keep going. Abu Azaitar, solid. Sadira Sumas. Okay. Got a lot of Middle Eastern fighters out here. African fighters as well. Keep going. India, yeah. Nathaniel Wood, very happy to see his name on the card. Did not even know he was on this card. Shout out the UK because they have a great fighter in Nathaniel Wood to root for. Nathaniel Wood, one of my favorite strikers to watch. Well-rounded as well. Yep. Keep going. All right. I mean, and then Bruno Silva to start the early prelims. Like, this card is stacked, and it's stacked with a lot of talent, a lot of high-level mixed martial arts. So, gonna be very, very, very interesting, and I cannot wait. I mean, early fight card. I can't wait to plan my day around this. I'm just gonna probably wake up. Maybe try to get a little workout, maybe a little hike, make a little breakfast. I mean, maybe invite some friends over. Maybe even do a, what do you call it? A live reaction video. Maybe not live, but I'll maybe set up the camera and film my reactions for the co-main and main event. Seems worth it to do. I mean, that's pending that my producer extraordinaire here will be patient enough to deal with the editing that entails. But I will also do my best during that, if I do, to make it easy to find stuff. You know what I mean? Like, maybe we'll talk about that after, the things I can do to make it easy to find for edits and whatnot. Yes, so that's what. Yeah, we have to be proactive on that. Working smarter, not harder. You know. Yeah. So that's been another episode. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe on YouTube. Throw your boy a follow on Instagram at Caution to the Airwaves. Throw your boy a follow at X, formerly known as Twitter, at Caution to the Airwaves. And yeah, just be on the lookout for content. I mean, I'm going to do my picks video. That'll come out in the middle of this week. This will be out tonight, but technically I say tomorrow, but tonight I really usually release it. And that's being Sunday night. So yeah, and then we'll leave it at that. Cue the music. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. And I will check in with you next week to let you know how this all went down and give you my thoughts on it all. So yes, fly Eagles fly. We got the Jets today at 4 o'clock. Cannot wait. Eagles 5-0, looking to be 6-0. Seems like an easy one, but you never know. Away game. What a fucking time to be alive. Fall time in New York. Football season full bloom. What do you call it? Preseason of NBA just started. This is like full effect sports going on right now. Martial arts never ends. Basketball and football is back. Baseball is in the thick of it, going into the playoffs. Yankees not looking that great this year, but nonetheless, all the sports are in full effect. So it's a beautiful thing. All right, this music's been going too long. I'm going to catch out now. Peace.